So I've bolted the seat on. I've got the gas tank just kind of sitting here, roughly where I think it should go. And I've stuck a bolt through the mount here. Oopsie, get rid of that. I've stuck a bolt through this mount and seen where it impacts the frame. I did that on both sides. Unfortunately, we're about a 1/4 inch off of an existing hole. Now I could probably extend those mounts down lower using washers or spacers, but I'd rather not do that. So I think we're going to ground this off flush and drill new holes. And we'll grind this off, grind off this hole, drill a new hole the 1/4 inch up and back that we need to for the proper spot. And I think this needs to go as well. And I think we're going to weld on a washer. I'm going to go for kind of this look. And I want to weld that washer right here around this little bullseye. And that washer will then be the gusset, if you will, for the bolt to go through. I think I'm just going to use one long bolt all the way through with a nut on the other side. Alright, let's make it pretty. Alright, that's pretty. Oops, one more spot to pretty up. Almost missed this. There we go. All right, so the problem is that spacer is actually in the way, which in hindsight I probably should have saw coming. What's going on over here? Oh yeah, there it comes. Looks like it's coming out nicely. I guess I could grind it off and then put it right back in there, maybe. That might work. All right, it's pounded out and ground flat, and hopefully there's enough clearance now for that bolt to slide alongside of there. Now I got to figure out how to get this thing back in here. Moment of truth. The bolt goes through. All right. So I need to weld a washer over all that mess. Let's find a washer. All right, I found a couple washers and I ran a sacrificial bolt and nut through them. So now I'm going to hook it up and weld on it and make those permanent. Got them all welded on, ground them off flat so that they'll sit nice, and to get rid of the boogers because they were terrible looking. Let's test fit this gas tank again and see how I did. There it is. All right, it's got a bolt going through it. I'm going to need a longer bolt because it does not come out the other side. My bolt isn't long enough to go all the way through and come out the other side and span this giant distance between, there's a spacer and then there's the mount. Same thing on the other side. Because I don't have a bolt long enough, I just decided that that was probably a bad idea anyway. Looking at these other bikes, they have individual bolts and the frame is threaded. And so I came up with this. So because the frame is threaded on the other bikes, they're able to use much shorter bolts. So my idea is to actually drill these holes out larger, insert this threaded collar, and weld it in place. There we go. Can't do that on the other side. But that actually worked pretty good on that side. Sweet. All right, now those need welded. Keep them from popping out, and then they'll hold our gas tank in. All right, another thing solved. Okay, we've got an upside down motorcycle, and I'll show you why. So I got the gussets welded in here for the rear. So that should help. You know, my fear is if you were to case a jump and hit really hard here on the back, it's going to put a lot of pressure this direction. And I was worried about these welds splitting or pulling apart from that. So we got this gusset here to give it some strength for forces going in opposite directions here. Then up here at the top, I want to do the same thing to strengthen this guy up. It's got this U-shaped gusset that came from Honda. And so my idea is to put these fangs on here coming off of that to tie this guy, and this guy all together. And hopefully that'll add a bunch of strength. My motor mount came up a little bit into the upper frame, but just not really enough. I don't think there's enough there. So we're going to come up a little higher with this guy, plus we're going to weld it into this one. So hopefully all that will tie everything together nicely. Plus it looks kind of cool. Gives it some teeth. Now she's got some teeth. I'm going to look into chopping the kickstand off the old bike and figuring out a spot to weld it onto this. Alright, so I've been cutting and cutting and grinding until I don't have a whole lot left. And I've cut into the frame here. You can see I've cut pretty deep. That's inside the frame there. And this is the foot peg I've already had to weld up. So this is not the strongest portion of the bike. But I think we should be able to weld that something like that. And hopefully that, once welded up, will be strong enough. It's a pretty close fit. It sits in there pretty nice. It's going to be about like that. So hopefully I can get a nice big weld on that and make it strong enough to hold this bike up. We'll see. Alright, now it's tacked in a couple of spots. So, you know, hopefully I can bend stuff to get it a little bit more closer to the bike, maybe like that. The spring is pulling it out and there's obviously some wear and tear on it. If we pull it out here, it goes too far forward. Okay, so we're definitely going to have to work on our stops. How about holding the bike up? If I had it right there, it would hold the bike up. So I need to weld a stop for that to be the bottom of the kickstand And then we also need to work on getting it sucked up to the bike when it's put away. But there you go, look at that. The bike is on a kickstand. We're going to make a trail bike out of it yet. Alright. So, here it is on the kickstand. Got that all welded up. I had to weld a spacer in there. There, now you can maybe see it. I had to weld that little spacer in there to get it to stop where I wanted, but it definitely doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Feels like it's part of the bike. Got the motor back in there again. Some of the gusseting I did had gotten in the way, so I had to chop on it a little bit. I'll have to massage on that with the grinder before I paint. I got some of the electrical going. I got the kill switch on here, wired down to the coil off the XR. Unfortunately, the coil off the CR was wider, and so the XR coil doesn't reach over here, and I can't use the CR coil because it has this tiny little wire instead of this long one like the XR's got. And I don't even know what this little gizmo does, but the XR has it and the CR doesn't. I wonder if it isn't something to do with the points and condenser. So this way I know it's going to work. So there it is, all bolted in. I got the gas tank brackets welded on with the new threaded holes. They look like garbage, but as you can see, they line up really well, and they are threaded on both sides, so now I can use 2 bolts. So I think next I'm going to test fit the gas tank and the seat, and with that I might as well bolt the carburetor on, I guess, and maybe start it. That'd be a really cool thing to do, is have it run for the first time, wouldn't it be? I wonder if I can make that happen. Would you guys like to see it run? It won't be able to drive. I'm missing spacers for my rear wheel here. Alright, here's our gas tank. Here's our seat. I'll sit over here. Throttle, carburetor. Let's see, here's the carburetor. The slide and throttle, I think, are in a box. Ah, here they are. So, okay, we'll route that like that for now. Let's see where we at. Goes like this. Okay, one's tight. Tighten this other one down. There we go. All right, gas tank. It's supposed to have a rubber band that goes from here to here. The CR didn't have one. The CR didn't have a lot of stuff. Who rides a bike without all the parts on it? The XR had one. Where did it go? It's way too short. Is it in there? No. Ah, there it is. So this is the one that went on the XR, and it's supposed to hook here, and then the other end's supposed to hook down here. And she's stretchy, but that's a little farther than I think it's meant to go. Okay, probably gonna have a monster exhaust leak here. Alright, exhaust is dummied up and hanging off the engine. No other supports. Ooh, not my favorite. Kickstarter. I'm gonna have to find a different one, I think, because this one curves all far back, and this bike, your boots are supposed to be right up against the frame. I have a feeling that this would be in the way, most certainly. We'll see. Short-term solution, it'll probably stay. My thought is though is to get one that goes straight up instead of curving back like this one does. Another day. Today, we're using what we got. There's so much heartache that I edit out for you guys, so you don't have to watch me suffer. Some of you probably like to watch me suffer. I stole the petcock out of this tank. The bushings, the metal bushings that are permanently part of the tank, wouldn't let go of the bolts. So I ruined that gas tank to steal that petcock out of it. That's all right. It's probably, I'm spewing gas everywhere. Turn on for 2 seconds. That's coming out of the carb. What's that coming out of? Yeah, that's the carb. Is my float drain open? Great. Leave for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And I was watching it too. It's like, okay, we're good. No. Float bowl isn't happy. It must be too high. Hopefully it doesn't backfire. Yeah. All right, it runs. The engine is in, the CR chassis, and it's running. We're gonna call that a win. I'm exhausted. I've about had my fill of problems. So next episode, we're gonna tackle more problems. Thanks for watching.